After a humiliating loss last week to the Buffalo Bills, the Raiders suffered somehow a more embarrassing loss at home in Vegas to one of the worst offenses in the league, the Pittsburg Steelers. And Raiders players on both sides of the ball were able to make some outstanding plays and show major potential. But Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels once again made dubious calls late in the game when they could have tied the game, and quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo had his worst game in 5 years and now leads the league in interceptions. To top it all off, star wide receiver Davante Adams said that he can't wait around for this team to come together, opening the door for his departure. It's only week 3 and the Raiders somehow look worse than they did when they lost last year against the Pittsburg Steelers and then benched Derek Carr. Let's break this down, like and subscribe for more Raiders content. Going into this game, the big story was, will the Raiders get Josh Jacobs going? He had a freaking -2 rushing yards last week against the Bills, and in this game he had 62 rushing yards but only averaged 3.6 yards a carry, less than 4 yards a carry. You saw him getting stuffed multiple times against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his longest rush of the day was only for 10 yards. Everybody knew the Steelers defense was going to be tough, and they forced the Raiders to go one-dimensional, and apparently it was Steelers country out there. You had so many Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there waving the freaking signs, waving the little yellow flags. I don't know why that their mascot symbol is basically a referee flag. Like, what, you with it with the refs? And the Raiders offense showed flashes, moved the football down the field, but ultimately struggled to score points. They were horrible on third down, 4 of 13 on third down, actually, less than 50%. And through the first 3 quarters of the game, they only scored 1 touchdown. It was only 7 points. And this was off a play that was a play action fake on 4th and inches when everybody thought they were running it and they had a wide open Davante Adams. So this was sort of a tricky gadget play. Other than that, for the first 3 quarters, they did not score. Last game against the Bills did not score at all in the second half. So really, the majority of the game, the Raiders are left scratching their heads, wondering what the hell is going on. And what is so frustrating is the Raiders have amazing playmakers like Davante Adams, getting 172 reception yards today on 2 touchdowns, having an absolutely monster day. And Jacoby Myers as well was making straight crazy catches, crazy athletic catches, 7 catches for 85 yards. Outside of that, nobody else really got going. We had a couple Hunter Renfrow receptions, 2 receptions, so 3 on the full season so far. But it just showed that the Raiders have playmakers, have weapons. The offensive line was not great in the interior. Horrible interior blocking, especially with run blocking. But other than a few plays, I thought Jermaine Illuminor did okay, holding his own against Watt. And oftentimes when you're watching the offense on the field, you saw Jimmy Garoppolo having time to throw, sitting there with time to throw. The only problem is when he sits there with too much time to throw, he ends up kind of not knowing what the hell to do with the football, and you saw tons of interceptions in this game. This was horrible. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 interceptions in this game. One was at the very end of the game, but still, man, he was making some head-scratching decisions and just had horrible accuracy all around, and Jimmy G now leads the NFL in interceptions thrown. Well, you look at that. The quarterback of the Raiders has 6 picks in total on the season, right above Sam Howell. And we were told that Jimmy Garoppolo's a winner. He's an upgrade. He's one of McDaniels' guys. And I do not want to put too much blame on Jimmy G right away. We don't know the thinking behind the play calling. We don't know if he's just throwing the football exactly where Josh McDaniels wants it. And keep in mind, Jimmy G got banged up in this game, took some big hits, and actually, he was not available for the post-game press conference because he was being evaluated for concussion. So who knows if he wasn't all there, and that's why he made some bad decisions in this game. But this is a historic low for Jimmy G. Matter of fact, this is actually the most interceptions he's ever thrown in a single game in his career, tied with one other game in 2018 with the Niners week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. That is the only other time in Jimmy Garoppolo's career that he's thrown 3 picks in one game. So look, I was not hyped about the Jimmy G signing this past offseason at all whatsoever, but McDaniels might even be making this guy look worse, even though he has Davante Adams. On the flip side, the defense, even though they don't got Chandler Jones, they got all kinds of problems. I think overall they did a decent job in this game. You saw Nate Hobbs flying out there, making some big plays. Funny thing is, at the beginning of the game, Josh McDaniels hugged Nate Hobbs, and afterwards you saw Nate Hobbs making tons and tons of plays. Made me think, hey, McDaniels needs to hug some more players for some good luck or something. The defense wasn't great, but I felt like they held up most of the time, and eventually the turnovers for the Raiders offense ended up wearing on that defense. And that's why Josh McDaniels, in his controversial call in a critical moment in the game when he could have tied the game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, Josh McDaniels made the decision to go ahead and kick the field goal even though there was less than 3 minutes left. He thought the defense could get a stop and help the Raiders get 2 scores late in the first quarter.
You got to play defense, and I have confidence in our defense. They had been playing well, and we thought we had an opportunity to get the ball back there with maybe a couple minutes to go.
And so his reason for making this call is because he thought the defense was doing quite well. But a lot of people are wondering what the hell McDaniels was thinking when he decided to kick that field goal. Actually, the money line increased from the Steelers at -500 to -1,000 after the Raiders kicked the field goal. Everybody was wondering what the hell Josh McDaniels was thinking. Even after the field goal, the Raiders would have needed a touchdown. It made no sense. Your offense was finally down there in scoring range. Keep in mind, the Raiders struggled to even get down there. They had to get a roughing the passer call. They had to get a PI call just to get in scoring range. It's unlikely you're going to be able to go down there that quickly again since the offense has been struggling. And you're relying on your defense, who doesn't make much money, to make these plays for you. And Josh McDaniels kept being asked this question. He just seemed annoyed at the press conference and a little shook.
The receiver was pretty much wide open, including the touchdown itself. What did you see on those drives there that could possibly have led to that?
I'll have to look at the film.
He's got the hat low. He doesn't want anybody to see his eyes. I think this guy's starting to hear the noise. And this loss is embarrassing. It's on the offense. The offense is paid to be productive. They are unproductive. We have an offensive-minded coach who can't get it done. You got McDaniels defenders, people who love Josh McDaniels and always remind you that he's doing a great job. Even they are turning on this guy. And you got Hondo Carpenter of Sports Illustrated saying there are absolutely no excuses for tonight. No one should feel good. An absolute disaster. And you got other people who are a little more closer to my line of thought who never really like these decisions by Josh McDaniels. Well, they're reminding you that all you anti-DC people, you got what you wish for. I hope you're happy. People kept telling us Derek Carr is a problem. Derek Carr and John Gruden were a problem. They weren't good enough. And it seems like whatever the hell they're doing is a lot better than what Josh McDaniels is doing right now with Jimmy Garoppolo, with dynamic weapons, with Renfro, with Adams, with Jacoby Myers, with Josh Jacobs. And keep in mind, Carr didn't have all these weapons all of last year with injuries to Waller and Renfro. It was a lot of Matt Collins and Davante Adams. And ultimately, Josh McDaniels was the one calling the plays. Ultimately, Josh McDaniels sold us on the belief that once he gets his guys, everything's going to be great. Once he gets his quarterback, a winner, a real winner in Jimmy Garoppolo, well, that winner is leading the NFL in interceptions. And Allegiant Stadium's an absolute joke right now. There's no home field advantage at all. You got all these freaking Steelers fans there having a great time whooping the Raiders' ass. And Mark Davis is there trying to honor a freaking GOAT, Ken Stabler, showing some respect. And I'm glad that Mark Davis is doing that for people like Ken Stabler, but it's time to show respect for your current franchise, your current fans. In Allegiant Stadium, it's cute. We got Mike Tyson lighting the torch. We got Lil Wayne. We got all these celebrities and all that. The celebrities does not bring in home field advantage. It's expensive as hell tickets to go to Allegiant Stadium, and all you do as a Raiders fan is usually watch the team get their ass kicked. Ultimately, the best way to get home field advantage is to win games, and that is not what Josh McDaniels has done, and that is not, quite frankly, what Mark Davis has done. And now Davante Adams is showing frustration. Tried to be professional, with everything happening. He never wanted Derek Carr to leave. He made it clear that the reason why he joined this team was because of Derek Carr. But here he was trying to make it work with Josh McDaniels, trying to make it work with Jimmy G. And so far, these are the results. And you had Davante Adams after the game. And this guy was saying some things about the Raiders, saying that he don't have time to wait around.
I don't want to act like it's all crazy. It's week 3, but I don't got time to wait around, And it's not a personal thing. It is a personal thing, but it ain't just about me. But it's not my mentality to sit here and try to take all season to figure it out. You use these early games like this to establish our identity. We're not doing things the right way to establish a winning culture.
And so Davante's trying to be somewhat positive, but he's ultimately saying that they're still in this mode right now where they got to figure it out. And I thought the crazier thing that he said was a little bit later when he said that they should have done the talking last year.
We got to be real with ourselves, man, when we get these these opportunities to come after, watch tape together and do these constructive things. We got to get something out of it. And that's not just talking and doing all of that, but it's about putting it to action, figuring out what's wrong. And doing something about it so that when we go out there the next time, it looks different. It's not supposed to just be a week of just talking about shit. We got to go out there and do it. You know, that's the theme of this year is doing it, not just talking about it and figuring out what we need to do. We did all that last year. This year we got to be about it.
So they did the talking. They figured out the issues last year, which is move on from Derek Carr, one of your best friends who helped recruit you to the team and was part of the reason why you came here. They said, oh, as long as we move on from that guy and then keep pretty much the same players plus add in Jacoby Myers, everything's going to be gravy. And now Davante Adams seems a little frustrated right now. They should be having stuff figured out. He doesn't have time to wait around until they figure it out. And man turns 31 years old on Christmas Eve. That's his birthday. And this is a guy who previously said in an interview that he does not see eye to eye with the front office of the Raiders at that moment. He seems like he's been trying to pump up Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels and just roll with the plan, but has been kind of admitting, hey, not exactly what I thought we're going to be doing. And look, Mark Davis was put in a tough spot. John Gruden got freaking canceled. Mark never wanted to let him go. He was in a position where he could have kept the interim head coach Rich Bisaccia or roll with Josh McDaniels. And ultimately, he rolled with Josh McDaniels, and a lot of us thought that meant a shakeup of the roster. They denied it and they denied it until they ultimately shook up the roster. And Mark Davis has to understand, does Josh McDaniels have a long leash right now? Is he going to let him play out the full 4 years of his contract? Or is he just going to keep stacking L's with this guy? Hopes he turns it around eventually, maybe next year when he gets more of his guys. Or is he just going to admit, I made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have chose Josh McDaniels over Derek Carr, but who knows? Maybe the real plan is a long rebuild despite the fact that we got freaking superstars on this team. Either way, Mark Davis is probably doing just fine. Those visitors pay very high prices in tickets. Let me know your thoughts on the Raiders' L to the Steelers below. Is there any hope for Josh McDaniels this year? I want to hear from all of you. Like this video if you have not yet and subscribe to the channel for more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.